Still waiting. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Soon the day, 1:46. And we'll stay seated so you can see the pictures. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will cry without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have lived, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and the promise to make others ours. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. All right, thank you. So now we're going to do hymn number 6, which is a lovely one about life. And anyway, hymn number 6. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes tonight. Though the night still will I need each day. If they ask what I did know, tell them I said yes tonight. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always let He loose His spark. If they ask what I did know, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. Okay, well, we're on the homeward stretch. Hymn number 1, which I learned as a child growing up. The original title is Prayer for This House, and it's a lovely poem put to music. So let us sing hymn number 1. May nothing evil cross this floor, and may your fortune never cry about these windows with the roar and there's a few more pictures and no more music, so I guess we're going to just go through them fast, Jeff. Look, there we are. This is here. Yay! Yay! No. But, you know.
Not yet, huh?
Maybe don't turn those on yet.
This is the best one, yeah.
Wasn't that fun? Thank you, Jocko. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Rains. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the celebrant this morning. And Reverend Barbara Wells, 10 Hove, is offering her last Sunday service as our transitional support minister. Next Sunday, we will welcome our new minister, Sonny McMillan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What an important concept. I invite you to think about what welcome means to you. And have you felt welcome here? Often, welcome is nonverbal. And I'm going to invite you to greet each other with welcoming eyes. And please don't worry about doing it right or even thinking about what you look like. It's more about seeing the other person with a welcome in your eyes. We'll do it for just a few minutes, so just the people around you. And if you're on Zoom, I'd invite you to turn your camera on if you're not already on camera, so that you could look around the Zoom room and see who's here with you. So let's begin with a few moments of greeting each other. Next Sunday, thank you for doing that. Next Sunday, we will meet our new minister. Her success as a minister here will depend in part on how we welcome her, how receptive we are, how well we listen, and help her to know us. It might help to think of a time when you were new. What helped and what didn't? I invite you to talk to each other about that at coffee hour today. And if you are new today, help us get to know you by filling out one of the visitor cards that should be in the pew in front of you. And if you are brave and new, you could help us learn what we are doing that feels welcoming and what actually doesn't feel that good. Coffee hour is right after the service downstairs in the social hall. And folks on Zoom can stick around and talk about that topic or just introduce yourselves. And in the category of where are things here, we're going to have a tour after the service, and you might turn around and see that our tour director, Gail Tillis, will hold up a sign at the back at the end of service for you to gather with her so that you know where things are. Ellie, I didn't get to find out whether the de-escalation training is on or off. Off. The person delayed. The person who is offering that.
We'll announce it and reschedule it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to invite you to read all the other announcements in your order of service. And Annie has a special announcement about the auction.
Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Sorich, and I am part of your Buff Auction Planning Committee, which is why I'm like buzzing at a higher frequency today, because it's just 6 days away. It is on Saturday, the 4th, our full moon festival. And so I have two very important things that I want you to know this morning. The first is that today is the last day to buy tickets. If you thought you were just going to show up to the door, think again, because we need to cut off the sales today so that we can get a head count to our caterer. And the second thing is the bidding opens on most items today at noon. So you can start bidding online now through Wednesday. And last year, a lot of items actually sold out. Either gift cards or services or hosted events were gone before the in-person event even started. So don't miss out on anything that you have your eye on. If you need assistance with ticket purchase or signing on to start bidding, you can find us at a table in the narthex on your way out today. Thank you.
The last announcement from the pulpit is about the death of Jane DeBrock. On Wednesday, she lost her battle with cancer. She had just been moved to hospice house. Her husband of 42 years has built her cremation coffin. It is presently out front in his truck, and Leslie invites us, anybody who wishes, to come after the service and write on it, sign it, add your tribute to Jane. As we settle in for service, please enjoy the prelude that Melanie is now going to play, and let yourself ponder what it's like to be a welcoming presence.
Thank you, Melanie and Jocko. And good morning, everyone. I am indeed the Rev Dr Barbara Wells, Hove. And for 3 more days, am serving Buff as transitional support minister. On Tuesday, our new minister, Sunny McMillan, starts her work among us, and I am so excited, and I hope you are too, and thank you, Stephanie, for reminding us about welcome. It's a big change. It's a new start. Let's all take a deep breath together in honor of everything we're doing to navigate on this path. Almost exactly 40 years ago, on October 1st, 1985, I entered East Shore Unitarian Church in Bellevue, Washington as a duly called associate minister. I had traveled 3,000 miles across the country from my family home in Virginia after finishing a summer ministry in Rockford, Illinois. As I crossed the threshold of East Shore, I entered into a world that was quite familiar. I was, after all, the daughter of a UU minister. I grew up in the church, yet also wholly strange and exciting. I moved eagerly into my new role, even as I was scared out of my mind. It was truly the first step into a life that I could only imagine at the time. Who would I be as a UU minister? Well, now, 40 years later, I stand before you grateful to be able to share a little of my journey with you, my friends and beloved community here at Buff. And I'm going to use the privilege, I get that it's a privilege and a pleasure that I have of being your minister, if only for 3 more days, to talk about ministry. It seems like a good time to talk about ministry. And I'm going to talk about ministry in a very particular way, through the lens of my 40 years in this complicated, curious profession. And I intend to explore this through the many phases of my ministry, honoring the wisdom and the lessons that I've learned. And while I'm not going to talk much about my seminary training today, I will share a lesson I learned from the great UU minister Kendall Gibbons. At a workshop she led at Meadville Lombard, the UU seminary I attended in Chicago from 1982 to 85, she challenged us to learn our hymns, And this was before either of the hymnals that we're singing out of even existed. She said that these hymns have much to teach us about our theology and our religion, and it helps to have things in your brain you can pull up and remember. Now, I'm someone for whom learning words to songs is pretty easy, so I took her up on it. I know hundreds of hymns, most of them by heart. So I've asked Melanie today to play many of them. All of the music that we're doing today comes from our hymnals. So thank you, Melanie, for being willing to go with me on this. And we're going to start with singing one now called Wake Now My Senses. This is it's an Irish tune. The words were written by Tom Mickelson for an ordination. So they really speak ultimately about church and ministry. So let's rise in body or spirit and sing Wake Now My Senses.
Thanks, Barbara, for the reminder of the meaning of our principles, of our religion, what we're here for. Starting with a quote from Alex Capitan, one of the wonderful teachers for the trans inclusion class that was offered here last spring. They said, being a welcoming congregation isn't something you are, it's something you do. Because welcome is a verb. It's an action. It's a spiritual practice, one that never ends. As Barbara lights the chalice this morning, I invite us to be considering how we can try out new behaviors that include, welcome, and appreciate each other's wholeness across differences, whether that means reaching out to people of a different generation, a different friendship circle, a different parenting status or activity level, gender, sexual orientation, marital status, or views on Jimmy Kimmel. We have an opportunity here to practice what we preach. Our covenant reminds us of our shared values. Let's say it together. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
And it's always wonderful to have our young people with us in the service today. So thank you for coming and getting a chance to sing some songs and to listen to grown-ups talk. But now it's your opportunity to be sung to your classes and your activities upstairs. So let us sing the Children's Blessing written by Kathleen Tracy. We hold you in our love. We'll sing it through twice. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go.
Once a month, we take our collection for the benefit of an organization that shares our values. This month, that organization is CAST, and Joanne Franska is going to talk to us a little bit about what the money will go for and who CAST is. Thank you, Joanne.
Hi. Actually, in the weekly bulletins for a while, there's been information about CAST.
I'm going to put this up a little higher
Okay.
so we get a good volume.
Thank you. And my understanding before talking today was that it would be better to tell a story about the people because you would already have information about what CAST does. So I will be downstairs at coffee hour for any questions. And right now I'm going to tell you what it's like working for CAST. When I drive up to the Arch of Peace and Reconciliation behind the library with food and supplies, There are a few people standing nearby, waiting. As I get out of my car, someone comes over and offers to help carry things. The heavy tables, baskets of water bottles, bins of sandwiches. Laura is almost always there, a faithful volunteer who has neuropathy in her feet and needs a walker now. She sleeps at the Lighthouse Mission, has been waiting for years to get into housing, like so many others. As we set up, more people come, a quiet line forms. Men and women, young and old, a family with small children. We greet our guests as they come through the line. We give them simple food, but as wholesome as we can afford. I look into their faces, and always, always I am aware that our places could be reversed, but proportion. I see my other self. We've met in the pouring rain and in the snow, my other self and I. Please help us feed our other selves. Thank you.
That's a beautiful reminder of why we're all here. For the offertory, Melanie is going to play Blue Boat Home, and we're going to listen to it the first time through, and then if you want to, you could join in singing the second time. And the ushers can come forward to collect your donations. The checks you provide or the money you provide will go to CAST unless you designate it to go to some other part of Buff. And please be generous.
Thank you so much for your generosity, and thank you, Joanne, and your organization for all the good work that you do. We so appreciate it. We really appreciate it. So many years ago, in 1987, I had the privilege of attending the International Association for Religious Freedom that was being held that year. It was done every 3 years. It was being held at Stanford in Palo Alto. And in the beautiful chapel there at Stanford, I participated in a worship service led by our colleague, the Reverend Mark Bellatini. Mark is a genius and one of the most creative worship leaders in Unitarian Universalism, and I was so grateful to learn from him. And one of the things he taught me was a kind of prayer that's called an embracing prayer. And I invite you to participate with me in this prayer. And I recognize that for Unitarian Universalist, prayer can be a tricky concept, and that's okay. Let yourself just go with it as it works for you. So let's take first a deep breath together. Settle in, allowing ourselves to be in our bodies. Feel the air moving around us, sound, people together in community. A most precious and beautiful sound. Gracious One, whom we call by many names, on this day we stand on the cusp of fall. The cool winds are blowing, the leaves are turning. There is change all around us. It is beautiful and it is terrible. Each of us brings into this room and to the Zoom room our own issues, our own challenges, our own blessings. And for this moment, I invite you, if you have something in your life that is wonderful, that you are holding on to with great joy, something that has happened recently that feels like a blessing to you, perhaps to someone you love. If you are that person who has that blessing in your heart, I invite you to just gently, into this room, surrounded by these beloved people, just say the word yes. If that is you, just say the word yes. 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 Yes, we are so grateful for all that has blessed us, for all the many wonderful things that happen in this world of ours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But I'm also aware that there is loss, there is death, there is struggle. If there is someone in your life, perhaps that someone is you, who is struggling, someone who has died, someone who is sick, someone who you know needs to be held in the loving arms of community. First, I invite you to call their face into your mind. And then their name. Bring their name into your mind. And if you're willing, to just briefly say into this room the name of that person who needs to be held in beloved community. Let us do that now. May these names spoken, the ones unspoken and the ones unknown, be held in this embrace, loved and cared for, near and far. And finally, we know how terrible things are in our world right now. So much suffering, so many things going wrong. At a time like this, it is worth it to take a moment to pray for courage. Courage meaning heart, to bring our hearts into this room and believe that we can face all we must face with love. Let us ask for courage, and when we feel it in our hearts, know that we can be strong alone, but more strong together. And now let's take another deep breath. Knowing that we too are held in the embrace of this beloved community. Grateful, brave, and strong. Amen. And blessed be. I invite you to sing with me, When I Am Frightened. You may stand in body or spirit. Where are we there yet? When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to me quietly. Will you share some of your worries with me? I was 25 years old when I took that significant walk across the threshold of East Shore Unitarian Church in Bellevue 40 years ago. As you might imagine, I got a lot of grief about being so young. In particular, a small but opinionated group of women, all about the age of my mother, and many of them wanting to be ministers, made my first couple of years there pretty miserable. I was criticized for what I wore, the speed with which I spoke, and the nerve I had to talk about things in sermons they thought I was too young to know anything about. It was hard, and there were moments when I honestly didn't think I'd make it. Luckily, I worked with a marvelous mentor, the Reverend Leon Hopper. Like most men of his generation, he had started in ministry in his 20s, so it didn't seem strange to him that I was young. Men get a little different pass on that. He was patient with me, but also firm with those folks who were so critical. Give her time, he told them. Give yourself time, he told me. And gradually, time did its job. I got better at ministry, less defensive about my youth and my skills, and I got to know people at a deeper level as we discovered we could actually learn from each other. A first ministry is always wonderful and terrible, beautiful and scary, challenging and freeing. I was lucky to have a mentor who reminded the congregation to give this brand new minister a chance. Can you perhaps see where I might be going with this? We have a brand new minister starting with us in a few days. Let's make her welcome and give her time to grow into the many skills and talents she brings to ministry. At the end of my 6 years at East Shore, one of the women who had been so critical of me made a point of thanking and praising me for all the good work I had done now that I was leaving. While I appreciated her words, I took a deep breath and I said to her, "Don't do it again." "What?" she said. I responded, "Don't be so hard on a minister just starting out like you were with me. Give the minister some time to grow into work, make mistakes, and get better." She gulped, but I think she heard me. And I never forgot that lesson number one that I learned from ministry. Even the best trained and most talented ministers need time to figure out who they are in this complex and meaningful role. It really helps for congregational members to be gentle and supportive instead of critical. Zip it up, friends. Zip it up. Okay, on to lesson number 2. And my second ministry, which in many ways was the most important of my career. After 6 years at East Shore as an associate minister, I was asked to help plant a new congregation up the road in Woodinville. East Shore, bless them, agreed to pay part of my salary as a way of supporting this new endeavor. And so I spent a year learning how the UUA wanted new congregations to start in those days. Jocko and I got married just a week before the first public meeting of the new church in 1990. And before too long, everything fell into place to charter a new congregation with the most people of any startup in that era, something I'm very proud of. 108 adults and close to 50 children became a part of that church on October 27th, 1991. And once we began meeting for worship, the place just started hopping. One really cool memory I have from that time was doing a child dedication for 39 kids at once. They all had to be dedicated, and I had to have someone follow behind me with the water and the roses to make sure the service didn't go too long. And somebody took a picture of that, and it ended up in the UU World magazine, and I felt like the Pope. In my second or third year there, I remember talking with the board chair, a lovely guy around my age. We were both in our mid-30s. And as we were leaving the church in our blue jeans, energized from the fun ways we were getting the work done, he looked at me and said, "Can you believe they're letting us run this place?" We both laughed so hard we almost fell down. That congregation and the ministry we shared reminded me that church didn't need to be serious all the time. While we, of course, dealt with serious issues, we also put on plays and held concerts, and once on a beautiful spring Sunday, which happened to fall on April Fool's Day, we did the service backwards. I love those people and that church, and we always just had such a good time together. So here's lesson number 2. Church can be fun. As Robert Fulghum, UU minister and humorous writer, once said, Unitarian Universalists take our religion seriously, but with a light heart. And that was certainly the case for that era of ministry. So let's plan on having fun with Sunny when she gets here. In these challenging times, joy and fun matter. Okay, moving on. In 1998, Jocko and I, for those of you who are new here, Jocko is my husband, also a minister, sitting over here drumming. So in 1998, Jocko and I made the hard but important decision to team up and do a co-ministry. We wanted to work together, and I needed to work less as my health was becoming compromised. And we determined we needed to move east to be closer to our families. Our decision not to have children made being near to our nieces and nephews important, and we each had an elderly parent we thought might need our support. After a 1-year, very successful interim ministry in Golden, Colorado, where we learned how to work together and loved that congregation back to health, we interviewed at 4 congregations, all within a reasonable drive of Jocko's family home in New Jersey and mine in Virginia. The most interesting of the 4 was a quirky church called Paint Branch. And for those of you unfamiliar with what a branch is, it's a creek or a stream in Marylandese. Branch. It was called Paint Branch. It had been founded out of the University of Maryland, so that kind of puts it in space and time for y'all. So we fell for that search committee right away. Right away. It was the most diverse by far of the ones that we looked at. Not only led by 2 young adults, but also made up of a well-known black physicist and a transgendered woman very active in the queer community. We felt like it was a great fit. But then we went there for our interview, and the process for us to land there was fraught with challenges. In particular, they had trouble with me. Jocko looked like a real minister in their eyes. Tall, good-looking, white male with a humanist theology. He was what a UU minister was supposed to look like. I, on the other hand, was a short female wearing things like this, with a decidedly spiritual bent, who had the nerve to pray and to sing and to not talk like a college professor. Not that Jocko talks like a college professor either, but at least he looks like he could. So halfway through our week-long interview to determine if we'd be called to serve them, as the criticism came at me fast and furious, we almost turned around and left. But we didn't. And though it was never an easy ministry, we're glad we stayed. One reason we did is because the church members were willing to look at themselves to see if they were living out of our UU values. And they asked us to do the same. And gradually, we found ways to work together. Our ministry in Maryland took us through 9/11, which impacted those of us in the DC area very personally. Jocko and I had the sad responsibility to bury an entire family that went down at the Pentagon. We lived there through the protests that followed and were very engaged in social justice issues. Our congregation had, by the standards of UU congregations, a large percentage of people of color, and we learned so much from them about how to do the work with integrity. It was also the era of marriage equality coming to the fore, and we were delighted to do our first same-sex marriages in that church's beautiful building. And we worked very closely with our neighboring UU congregations, as DC has the largest number outside of Boston of UU congregations. I was the first president of an organization these congregations started together called UUs for Social Justice in the DC-Baltimore region, and I'm proud to tell you that that organization still exists and is going strong after all these years. And all of this leads up to my third lesson. Aligning UU values with how we work with each other is critical, and it's important to take time to look at ourselves to see if we're doing so. Justice work can emerge even when things are challenging and hard. I mean, particularly when things are challenging and hard. And justice work is always better when we do it together with others in our church and in the larger community. Good ministry, in my opinion, and experience should always include work that takes us deeper into our communities, sharing our UU values and doing the important work of building a better world. That's ministry that can be hard to see from the outside, but it's absolutely essential. Hence, lesson number 3. Let's support our new minister in working with others to do the critical justice work our times call for. Let's make time for her to do that. And let's not wag our finger at her that she's not in the office when she's out engaging with people in the community. Now, before I move on to the final lessons I hope to impart this morning, I'm going to take a little parenthesis because I want to say one rather hard thing. A big lesson I've learned at every church I've served, but particularly in Maryland, was that the isms, racism, classism, homophobia, misogyny, and more, are sadly alive and well within our congregations. Do not think we are immune. Even though there are more women in ministry now than ever before, I can assure you that I have never served a congregation where I haven't encountered sexism directed at me, including this one. And of course, it's subtle most of the time, but it was there. Please, dear ones, let's be thoughtful with our new, strong, capable, tender, kind, and tough female minister. Check our sexism at the door, please. Let's take a deep breath. Okay, on to my last and final lessons. After many years of challenge and growth alongside professional advancement, I got my doctorate. A hard realization hit us. Despite both Jocko and me growing up on the East Coast, we just didn't feel like we belonged there. We were ready to move back to the Seattle area. And lucky for us, the congregation on Bainbridge Island, lovingly called Cedars, was ready for new ministry. We jumped at the chance. Even though many of our colleagues thought it strange that we were leaving a bigger church on the East Coast to go to a small church in a small town, a ferry ride from Seattle. But here's the thing, ministers are people too, and people care about where they live. For us, living on an island in the Salish Sea was a powerful gift. We loved that church, we loved those people, and we loved that place. And that's the next lesson. Place matters. Yes, all Unitarian Universalist churches have much in common. But the church I grew up in Virginia was very different than the one I started working at in Bellevue than this one. Each church has its own particular way of doing church, always impacted by where it is. And Cedars was an island church, a small town, and without its own building. We were very aware of how much it mattered that we were connected to the different congregations on the island, how important it was to maintain good relations with our neighbors. An island is a small place. And how the land around us impacted the ways we worked and talked about our faith. It was on Bainbridge that I began to understand the importance of acknowledging the first people who continued to support the sacred land we were on. And it was there that Jocko and I knew for certain that we were home in the Pacific Northwest with big trees and big water. That lesson that place matters is a critical one for us to hear today in this wonderful church in Bellingham. Our land is sacred to the many tribes connected to it, but in particular the Lummi and the Nooksack. Our city, so far north in the contiguous U.S., is a special, special place to live. A university town, a progressive city, a place where a church like ours can thrive. Look at us, we thrive here. And it can be a bit of a big bubble. Something we need to remember as we aim for relevance in this difficult time. So lesson number 4, where a church is located matters. Let's help Sunny feel at home here. And finally, I want to just say a few words about this last stage of my ministerial journey. In 2018, Jocko and I retired at the normal age for him, a little young for me. We had determined that we had to live somewhere that had a strong congregation where we could learn how to sit in the pew. And I honestly didn't think I would take to pew sitting, for you see, I have never been a layperson. I was a minister's kid. You're not a layperson then. Went straight to seminary, to ministry. Never been a layperson. And I thought pew sitting would be too hard. I'd be too judgmental. I'd be critical of everything. I'd long to be in the pulpit when I had to sit in the pew. And you all know I hate those damn pews. And I actually won't sit on them. I love those chairs. Aren't those chairs great? Anyway, when Jocko and I turned up here in the fall of 2018, we discovered you, a warm and welcoming church that embraced us both as retired ministers, but also as people who could come in and out, lead things or not, just be a part of this beloved community. Yes, I have occasionally returned to the pulpit, and it's true, I like to preach now and then, but I've also led the auction. I sing in the choir. I've even handled the church laundry. I find that being a member of this church really matters to me. And in whatever role I take, I want to provide support and care to this particular embodiment of our faith. So my final lesson of 40 years is this. Our church matters. Unitarian Universalist churches across the globe matter. Our faith matters. And the only way to keep our religion alive is to make a commitment to care for its embodiment, in this case, this congregation. So I urge you to care for this church with your time, your money, your energy, and your faith. We're all in this together, and the world, God knows the world needs us. 40 years ago, I walked into my first UU church as a fully fledged minister. In the 4 decades since then, I've learned lessons about ministry and church that I hope will help us in welcoming our new minister next week. A reminder, lesson 1, give the new minister a chance to grow into the job. Lesson 2, expect to have fun. Lesson 3, understand that ministry is best when it's connected to other people and communities doing the challenging work of justice making. And please check your sexism at the door. Lesson 4, place matters. Bellingham is a unique place to do church and ministry. And finally, lesson 5, it matters that we show up here at Buff, show up in support of Sunny, of each other, and in support of our faith. Beloveds, I promise you that I too will show up for this church and our faith going forward. But I do want to remind you that for a couple of months, you won't see me, for I'll be taking a break to give Sunny room to make herself home here among you. And I look forward to returning around Thanksgiving, when I'll gladly resume my place in a nice comfy chair down there. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take my last sentences to say thank you to everyone who helped me over the past few months. The work of this church takes a lot of people, and I've been blessed by the support of the staff, the leaders, and so many of you. Thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate it. But for now, let's sing another song, also a lovely little piece with words written by Theodore Parker and music by UU musician Tom Benjamin. Be Ours a Religion, hymn 1058. Let's rise in body or spirit. And it's short, we're going to sing it through twice. Be ours a
to come forward. But it's fine. We're in the right order. Yeah. That was a beautiful intro to what we're doing next. I'm so impressed with that 40 years that she's talked about. And we want to honor her, the her being Reverend Barbara. Because of her long experience, as we've just learned a little bit about, Barbara has had so much to offer to Buff and to the celebrants. And I should mention who we all are. I'm Stephanie. You've heard me already today. This is Tom Nicholas and Marcia Volkheimer. Talk into the mic. All right. I'm still learning. I haven't had the 40 years experience. And Marcia Volkheimer and Carrie Kenline. And Sue Livingston is in, we don't know where. On a motorcycle. Yeah, she's on. So we are going to speak for her, or Carrie is. Anyway, the part I want to appreciate is that the way that Barbara's experience has been a cradle of value that she's passed on to us. And I've especially appreciated I've appreciated your clear, helpful structures, your creative ways to engage the congregation, such as this year's water communion, and especially the way that you're always at the ready with your problem-solving skills, usually preventing difficulties by anticipating them ahead of time.
Barbara, as a celebrant, I just want to thank you for your trust. And as a board member and as a member of the congregation, I don't know how to put this exactly, but moving through this time of transition, we needed somebody to hold the congregation, and Barbara understands what that means, and I really appreciate that.
I'm married to one of those, so I'm used to that. Barbara, I have really appreciated your understanding that the more we pay attention to the details, from the candles and the matches to the sound and the height of the microphone to the length or brevity of all parts of the service, the deeper the experience is for all of you who are present. And I also have to say that I'm very grateful for your kindness and your patience in helping me navigate new ways of worship here. Thank you.
And Barbara, I wanted to say that among many other things, you know, this has been a complicated, confusing time when you were allowed to tell us some things and not tell us other things at different points. But I just always found you such a clear, responsive communicator with any confusion any of us brought to you. And it's just been incredibly helpful to have your guidance. And I want to also share Sue's words. Appreciation for Barbara's strong voice, joy, and wholehearted commitment to creating community. She will always be a mentor for me.
One of the other things Barbara did is get us a little better organized on the flowers for the altar. So here she gets to have some. And you may already recognize our board president, and Lynn Skavdahl is going to say a few words, but thank you for the attention you're giving to this important moment.
Very few words indeed. I know that we're all appreciative of the hard work that Barbara has done, and I'd like us to do this kind of an appreciation so she can see. Yeah, awesome, woo! As a representative of the board, I just want to say again how much we appreciate you and everything that you have done for us.
And she's not going too far. She just said it again, so we will see her again. I'd like to invite the choir up.
Until we meet again, may the Spirit of life hold us all in its hands. May you go forth with love, hope, and joy into this next ministry. We have a special way of closing at Buff to make a circle round, singing together. So please, we make a circle in the middle, a circle around the edges. And we will extinguish our chalice. I will ask Linda to extinguish it since she's right there. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Amen. And blessed be. Yay.